Look at what is unfolding between Ottawa and Washington right now and tell me this looks like a trade dispute. It doesn't even look like retaliation. It looks like a calculated execution. For years, the electric vehicle revolution in the United States was marketed as a triumph of American ingenuity, American workers, American global leadership. But as of this morning, that narrative has collapsed. Mark Carney just buried it. With a single decision, Canada has announced an immediate halt on exports of the critical minerals that power every electric vehicle battery built across North America. Lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, the ingredients that make your Tesla run. Your Rivian charge, your F-150 Lightning move. Gone. Cut off. Starting now. Trump believed this tariff war was about cars and dairy and lumber. He expected Canada to cave, apologize, and beg for a deal. Instead, Mark Carney went straight for the throat. He targeted the one sector the White House cannot afford to lose. And the consequences are already tearing through Wall Street, through factory floors, and into the future of American manufacturing. Trump is furious. The auto industry is panicking, and the media is still talking about maple syrup tariffs, while the entire EV supply chain collapses in real time. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what Canada did, why the United States has no immediate answer, and why the electric vehicle future you were promised is now on life support. Here is what happened in the last 72 hours. It started as it always does. Trump escalating after weeks of failed negotiations over the USMCA review. He signed an executive order imposing a 50% tariff on all Canadian aluminum and steel, on top of the 25% auto tariffs already in place. He went on Truth Social and called it the biggest trade correction in history. He said Canada had been robbing America for decades. The message was clear: submit or suffer. The classic playbook: shock, overwhelm, dominate. But someone in the White House forgot to check what Canada actually has in the ground. Because what happened next didn't just surprise Washington, it terrified them. Carney called an emergency cabinet session. There were no leaks, no grandstanding. For 14 hours, the Canadian government went completely silent. The White House reportedly thought Carney was preparing to negotiate. He wasn't negotiating, he was loading a weapon. At 7 a.m. Eastern Time, Carney stepped up to a podium in Ottawa. Behind him, no American flag, alongside the Canadian one, just the maple leaf, alone. He spoke for exactly 11 minutes. Flat voice, steady eyes. He never mentioned Trump by name. He said Canada would no longer permit the export of strategic critical minerals to any nation that engages in economic coercion against the Canadian people. Effective immediately. No grace, period. No exemptions. Then he listed them: lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, rare earth elements, manganese, the entire periodic table of the EV revolution, banned from crossing into the United States. The room went silent. Reporters didn't ask questions for 30 seconds because everyone understood what had just happened. Canada didn't just retaliate. Canada pulled the plug on the American electric vehicle industry. Within 45 minutes, Tesla dropped 9%, Lucid dropped 17%. Ford's EV division fell so fast, trading was briefly halted. GM's Ultium battery program relies almost entirely on nickel and lithium from Canadian supply chains. Their stock dropped 11% before lunch. The Nasdaq fell 600 points in a single session, not because of earnings, not because of inflation, because one country turned off the tap. An analyst on live television said nobody had modeled for this. No, they didn't, because everyone assumed Canada would always say yes. That assumption just died. Canada is not just a supplier of critical minerals to the United States. Canada is the supplier. It provides 52% of the aluminum used in US EV battery casings. It supplies the majority of Class 1 nickel going into American cathode production. It controls some of the largest undeveloped lithium deposits in the Western Hemisphere. The graphite facilities in Quebec were built to feed American gigafactories. The rare earth plant in Saskatchewan was the centerpiece of the US strategy to cut dependence on China. That plant just went dark for American buyers. The United States spent 5 years and hundreds of billions building an EV supply chain free of China. They succeeded. They moved the dependence from Beijing to Ottawa. And now Ottawa locked the door. The entire Inflation Reduction Act, the $369 billion investment, the subsidies, the factory announcements, was built on one assumption: Canadian minerals would flow south forever. That assumption is now ***. Real factories are shutting down right now. The battery plant in Georgia delayed indefinitely. The lithium hub in Nevada running at 40% capacity. Ford's plant in Tennessee sent workers home, not temporarily, indefinitely. These are American workers in American states being laid off because their president picked a fight with the country that supplies their raw materials. You cannot tariff your way out of geology. The minerals are where they are, and they are in Canada. Why did Carney go this far? Because he rewrote the rules. He understood something no Canadian Prime Minister before him was willing to act on. Canada's greatest leverage isn't trade volume or military alliances. It's what's underground. The 21st century doesn't run on oil. It runs on lithium, nickel, cobalt, rare earths. And Canada holds some of the richest deposits on the planet. For years, Canada treated these resources like a courtesy. Here, America, take what you need. Carney just ended that era. He studied China's rare earth strategy. They didn't just sell, they weaponized. Export controls to punish Japan. Supply restrictions to dominate Western tech. Carney executed the same playbook, faster and directly to America's face. While Trump was posting insults on social media, Carney was on the phone with Seoul, Tokyo, Berlin, Brussels. Reports say he spoke with the European Commission president for over an hour. Message: Canada's minerals are available to the world, just not to countries that attack us. South Korea and Japan are already negotiating emergency deals with Ottawa. BMW and Volkswagen sent delegations to the Canadian embassy in Berlin within hours. Canada isn't cutting off the U.S. Canada is redirecting the entire global flow around America. Trump is playing checkers. Carney is playing chess with the periodic table. The White House response has been chaos. Trump threatened a Defense Production Act. He threatened to nationalize mining. He said companies would find minerals anywhere else. There's no anywhere else. Not fast, not at scale, not without China. The U.S. has exactly one active lithium mine. American nickel production is negligible. Cobalt essentially zero. You cannot executive order a mineral deposit into existence. A new mine takes 10 to 15 years from discovery to production. Carney knows this. That is the weapon. There is one more dimension. Almost nobody is talking about defense. The Pentagon uses these exact same minerals for fighter jets, missiles, submarines, satellite systems, and advanced radar. The F-35 program requires nickel alloys and rare earth magnets that come from Canada. Defense officials are reportedly furious. A senior Pentagon source said the mineral ban has created a national security crisis that has nothing to do with any foreign adversary. The threat isn't from China or Russia. The threat came from the White House picking a fight with the country that supplies the raw materials for American weapons systems. Governors of Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, and Tennessee all released statements. Not one backed the tariffs. Georgia's governor said 12,000 jobs in his state are tied directly to EV battery supply, and everyone is now at risk. A Republican senator from Ohio went on Fox News and said Washington needs to talk to Ottawa, not tweet at them. The CEOs of Ford, GM, and Stellantis asked for an emergency White House meeting. They got a social media post instead. 3. Paths forward. None comfortable. First, negotiated retreat. Both sides climb down and declare victory. Rational, but neither leader can afford to blink publicly. Unlikely. Second, prolonged standoff. Both economies bleed. Canada redirects minerals east. American automakers pay more, get less. US EV transition delayed 5 to 7 years. China wins. Most probable. Third, full rupture. Escalation. Sanctions. Energy cutoff. Oil above $140. Recession. NATO fractures. The nightmare. With this White House, not impossible. The United States built its electric vehicle future on Canadian rock. In 1 week of ego-driven brinkmanship, that foundation cracked. Carney didn't want this. Trump left him no choice. When you corner a country that controls your supply chain, don't be surprised when they cut the cord. The question isn't whether the American EV sector survives this. It's whether it survives this decade. And the question for you is simple. Did Carney go too far, or did Trump push him there? Drop your answer below. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This story is moving fast. Don't blink.